Hey yo, what is groovy? What is good? It's your boy Papa Capes, and we are back with yet another Raid Shadow Legends video. Welcome in. It's the middle of the week. How are we all doing? Today, I've decided to talk about a little something that I pondered on recently, and that is we are approaching the 1 year mark as a Raid Shadow Legends player. And what has changed since we started playing that has made the game feel slightly easier? So off the top of my head, I can think of quite a few things. This isn't me having done any research and diving into kind of, oh, please Google a list what has changed. This is simply me going from my own experience and thinking about, off the top of my head, what changes have positively impacted my experience as a player in Raid and made that experience slightly easier, slightly less tedious, and way more enjoyable in my opinion. Again, I'm not going to preface this throughout the video, but these are just things that are all based on my opinion, my experience. What I'd like to do is encourage you all who have played for longer than I've played, or for those of you who have played shorter, but specifically those who have a longer tenure within Raid than I do, which is 10 to 11 months, so not yet at 1 year, but we are approaching it. But those of you that have played for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, however long you've been playing, there's probably a ton of things that have made the game feel easier for you, more manageable for you, and that's what I'm curious to find out. Feel free to go down. If you liked the video, leave us with a like, subscribe to follow the journey, and let's start a conversation. Let's start a debate. That's so far been my highlight of doing these videos, not just sharing my fails and my W's with you guys, but conversing and engaging with each and every one of you that take the time out of your day to converse with me. It feels like it's been spoken about so often. It feels like I've spoken about it so often. But when I started, especially in the early phase of learning the game, one thing I felt crippled me was a lack of silver, because in order to change gear, you needed to pay silver. And since then, you no longer need to pay silver to change gear. And that for me has freed up a lot of my ability to be more creative, ability to experiment, and just to learn more about my champions and to be able to explore different play styles with these champions. If there's anybody out there that doesn't know that you needed to pay silver back in the day to remove a piece of gear or to change a piece of gear, now you do. We have the luxury currently to simply just equip gear. So let me be specific. Back in the day, if you had a champion with absolutely no gear on them, so let's take Modo here, you wouldn't need to pay to put a piece of gear on them. But what we can do now is remove that piece of gear or replace that piece of gear right there, free of charge. Previously, you would have had to pay silver to do that. So off the bat, that's the first thing that came to mind that has made the game easier for me to play. Secondly, I personally started with a starter link, right? Can't remember exactly whose starter link I used, but also my starter champ was Supreme Gallic with the code Supreme6 back then. I personally know of a clanmate who started Raid and is still playing on his main account that didn't use a starter link with many champions. I think the only champion he got was Oboro, a Shadowkin champion, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, if I remember correctly, he started his account with only Oboro from the Shadowkin faction. And to me, that's crazy. Whereas I got Ugo, I got Tagore, I got Supreme Gallic, and all that he got was Oboro. So I think that the accessibility to certain champions, like currently I think the promo code is Raid 7 for Pelops, and then there's also Wrath for Padraig, which we are lucky enough to have on our account. There were codes like Get Alice for Alice, there were codes like Demon Slayer for Tholen. And I think that making these champions more accessible has also added an element of making the game slightly easier, in my opinion. A big thing for me is obviously farming masteries on my champions. And when I first started out, you couldn't do super raids in Minotaur. I'm not one of those guys that's going to be like, back in my day, and it was not even a year ago. So this is just me recalling from my experience what I did back in the day that has since been made easier, that has since been made better, that has since been improved on. So back in my day, when I farmed masteries, you couldn't do super raids in Minotaur. Now you can. And this is, especially when you do it alongside with champion training. For me, Gallic can solo Minotaur, so I'll put him in, and if I need 4 champions who I'm trying to train up from whatever level they are, and I know for a fact I'm going to use them in content, this will definitely help with champion training and getting those masteries. It just makes it less tedious. And if I remember correctly, again, I didn't Google any of these things, but the distribution of scrolls has since improved as well. Don't quote me on that. Again, no research, not because I'm lazy, just because I prefer to speak from my experience more so than I do to just Google what's out there. So yeah, another thing that I can think about, again, this is in no specific order, this is just as they come to my mind, but Tag Arena, as soon as you make it to silver, you can now quick battle Tag Arena, which is pretty cool. Can literally go into a Tag Arena fight, and as you can see over here, quick battle, enable that, and boom, once you get into silver, this becomes something that you have access to. And you can just press quick battle, no need to go into it, which for a lot of people, I have heard they don't enjoy Tag Team Arena. And the main reason they don't enjoy it is because of the time that it takes. But now this takes next to no time, and this just adds to more things that I can do outside of using energy within Raid. Right now for me, I am being super stingy with how I use my energy, because if you haven't checked out the last video, feel free to go and check it out. We are currently saving for a fusion. Yes, our resources are still looking a little bit dire, but I've even paused my Marius missions because I do not want to use energy. This brings in a completely different debate. Is the most efficient way to save energy to use it so that you're never over that 130 cap? Or is it by keeping energy in your mailbox and only using it like that's how you store energy? I don't really know. Conversation for another day. I should have mentioned this to start out with. Gear presets. I cannot remember if this was a thing when I started, but now for me, for example, if I go into faction wars, I don't necessarily need to ensure that each and every champion that I'm going to use within these faction wars are geared, because the way that I do it is I'll go through who's not built yet. Fennex isn't built. So I'll go through to Fennex, I'll see that he's an attack champion. I'll glance, okay, so he needs a bit of accuracy for that block revive. He needs a bit of accuracy for his A2 skills, and he needs accuracy for his A3. So that's when I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to put him in Mikey's build because Mikey's build doesn't have much accuracy. I'll put him in Gallic's build because at the top of my head, I know for a fact that my Gallic build is an attack-based build, but it also has accuracy. Whereas there you can see this will give him 235 accuracy. With Mikey's build, that'll go down by 100 to 125. Again, no need for silver to make this change. Can do it right now, equip it, boom. Their Fennex is now ready to take on the Sacred Order faction crypt. And I'm not sure if presets were a thing back then. Could have been a thing. Maybe I just was unaware that it was a thing. But now that I know that I can do this, and I don't have to pay to do it, just makes a lot more content more accessible, just makes it easier, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I'm just putting my gear back on Gallic over there, because oftentimes I go into a clan boss fight, or I go into a Hydra, or whatever the case may be, and then I forget to re-equip the gear to the champions that I took gear off of during faction wars, and by the time I realize it's too late and I've wasted resources, and we are doing better with our resources. The next one that I thought about might be specific to me, and this could be very, very obvious. When I used to build champions back in the day, I would do something as simple as type it into Hell Hades, type it into a Yuumi, check what gear they would recommend, check the stats that they would recommend. But now I know the baseline. I've got an understanding because of my tenure throughout the game, and I understand. Let me not say I'm the best. I will never say that about this game. But my understanding has improved as to which type of champions need to be built in which ways. This can become quite intricate in terms of speed tuning. This can become quite intricate in terms of what specific builds they need to fit into a specific team that you're trying to build. So I'm not there as yet, but simply just to build a champion so that they're usable, not necessarily good. I know for a fact that my attack champion is going to need crit rate gloves. So I'll instantly go into crit rate, and this is actually how I build my champions. I'll instantly go into crit rate. This is an attack-based champion. Let's get attack in there. Let's get speed in there, crit rate, crit damage. And I know that Ezio is a poisoner, so I'm going to need some accuracy. And then now that we're starting on the gloves, I'll simply filter it out by crit rate. After making sure that all of my criteria has been checked, I'll hide set filters, and the strongest glove that the game recommends is usually up in here. And then I'll just choose a glove that I want to use on him and equip that. After the glove, I usually go to chest, and I don't close this so that these selections that I've made don't change. And then I know for a fact, okay, cool. On chest, I would like attack percentage. The filters are still hidden. So the gear then comes up, and the best one should be towards the top left. After the chest, I then go on to speed boots. See that muscle memory? Speed boots. After the chest, I go on to boots, and I ensure that I go and check speed. And then that's how I'll put on the boots. And then I will go and build my weapon, my helmet, and my shield. Wait, this is new? Current level. And I've never seen this before. So now you can filter out by the current level of the gear. That's kind of dope. I haven't seen that before. Interesting. So to sum all of that up, I'd like to say that because of experience, and it's like this in any game, right? The more you experience something, the easier things tend to become. Not related to the content of the game. The content doesn't always become easier because there could be other limitations on your account preventing you from doing said content. Like for me again, currently, I touched on this in the recent video. I still haven't been able to do Celestial Griffin. So the content doesn't necessarily become easier. But if I go back to, let's say, Nether Spider, because of my experience, my tenure, and my time playing, and my curiosity, I learned to understand said boss, and then I knew what type of champions to build for this boss. Back when I started, that understanding was nowhere near what it is now. I've still got a long way to go, but that understanding makes a huge difference in allowing things to feel easier. Another thing, because it's on topic of the fusion that I'm currently chasing, resource management, although something I still struggle with, resource management is easier for me. Because I know when to do certain things, I know when to book champions, I know when to use energy. It might not look like I know these things because of the fact that I'm purely poor with discipline, but I do know them. It's similar to like health and fitness. I'm quite easy to see, right? I don't like the term fat. I'm quite easy to see. However, I've played professional rugby and I spent 2.5 years in the gym religiously 6 days a week. I have a slightly better than normal understanding of like muscle science, biokinetics, nutrition, etc. But if you look at me, you won't necessarily say that. That's similar to what's happening with my raid account. If you look at my raid account, you won't necessarily say that I've got an understanding of resource management. But in comparison to when I started, I definitely have a better experience when it comes to resource management. I know when to book. I know for a fact that when you're doing upgrades in your Great Hall, the only time that you'd be rewarded for this specifically is in CVC. For an example, I know for a fact that booking should be done either during CVC, or if you're saving for a fusion like me, you should technically be doing it through like a champion training event. Although I recently booked all my champions because we were trying to push for CVC because it's personal rewards. And as you guys can see, we're getting absolutely slaughtered. But that's fine. I'd like to say this, and I'd like to be very specific and very clear when I say this. These things don't make Raid an easy game. By no means am I saying this game is easy, because it's not, right? I struggle with quite a lot. It's not an easy game. However, these are certain things that I feel have made the game easier. I've heard stories of people starting a raid account years ago with no starter link. Like imagine that, you get to level 15 now, bang, you get like a new champ. 25, boom, another champ. Back then you get to 25 and you get like a naughty badge, or you get like an appreciation reward for participating. If I had to start a raid tomorrow with a brand new account, there's no way I would start without a starter link. Not to waffle on, because there's so much and I could speak in a circle, which is what I do often. But I think we'll close it off with things like understanding, then segues into understanding events better, knowing which events are worth it for where your account's at, which events are okay to skip for where your account's at, which events would reward your account specifically for the direction you're taking your account in, for the goals you've set for your account, as opposed to just doing every single event because of FOMO. And then obviously there's tons and tons and tons of resources out there that you can go to learn these things. In that regard, I'll put my hand up. I'm lazy in that regard. I hate following metas. I hate going onto the internet and being like, how do I finish this boss? And that's why, like, I know for a fact, because I've done it, I still have never finished Amius. And I know that Lemonisi, built in a very specific way, can solo Amius. But I don't like chasing those metas. If it's gonna help me long term, I don't want to sit here and sound like I think I'm a saint, or I think I'm like, oh, whoever chases metas is uncool. That's not what I'm saying. Play the game the way you want to play it, as long as fun is at its core. But I don't really go for metas before I try my own thing. I'm stubborn like that. And then lastly, I think to close it off, I've got like certain routines and certain habits when it comes to logging into Raid every single day, which I didn't have back then. Back then, I solely focused on Arbiter missions, would not do anything outside of Arbiter missions when I started playing the game. If I couldn't do Arbiter missions because of a limitation of energy, or I needed to wait for a dungeon to open, I would then do Was it challenges? It was challenges, right? There was like a bunch of categories underneath badges that you could go to, and there was like arena, there was artifacts, there were dungeons. Then I'd go and do those challenges. But now I know that every single day I'm going to focus on getting my clan activity to 3-star, 100%. So now I need to do one more classic arena battle to do exactly that. Then I'm also going to, if I'm not saving for a fusion, utilize all my energy so that I'm not sitting at energy cap. Because although I don't fully understand that, and I don't know if that's the best way to do it, that's what I would do if I had energy to use and energy regens until a certain number. It makes sense to use it. Then I would also go through and do my Doom Tower every single day. I do my Curse City, I do my Grim Forest, I do all of these things, and I have a routine as to how I approach it. For example, I'll do Tag Team Arena. 5 battles in Tag Team Arena will be done before I do Faction Wars. Why? Because that gives you additional keys. Then instead of having 12 keys to do Faction Wars, you've got 18. And I mean, I just logged on to record the video, but there you can see I've already got 18 keys to do my Faction Wars with, because that is something that's part of my routine that just adds to the efficiency, right? So yeah, I think it's safe to sum it up then and there. I know for a fact that this might have felt like it was all over the place, but oftentimes I just like speaking what's on my mind. I don't like doing too much research. I think of something, I'm like, yo, maybe there's somebody else out there that feels the same way. Maybe there's somebody out there who will have additions to the way that I'm thinking, to the way that I'm feeling. And I certainly feel this topic, things that have become easier since you started playing Raid, could allow for us to have phenomenal conversations. Some of us will sit there, ain't no way that's something that you had to deal with. But some of us will sit there like, I can't imagine starting Raid like that. Some of you will sit there like, ooh, gear removal's free, or gear removal wasn't always free. So I just feel like it's such a wide topic so that we can get discussing. So let's meet up in the comments after this video. Remember to leave a like, remember to subscribe to follow the journey. We are pushing towards 1,000 subscribers. There is an account giveaway currently happening. I'm giving away my second account. We gave away the free-to-play account, but I had another account with Brogni on it, which I didn't even level, but we're giving that one away. Go check out that video if you know of somebody that might do well with the account, somebody that's passionate about Raid, or maybe passionate about Brogni, or Mad Hatter, as he's on that account as well. And yeah, we just keep on going on. We're staying strong. We will do our first fusion on this account that we discussed. Not the next one, but the one after that. Happiness is a choice. Kindness is free. Leave your mark, yo. Peace out.